You were the one who stayed when everyone else walked away. And that's what love looks like. In a world full of goodbyes, your presence was my forever hello. When I was invisible to the world, you made me feel seen, heard, and loved. You stayed when the world turned away, and for that my heart is forever yours. You didn't just stay, you helped me rebuild, brick by brick, until I was whole again. When others failed me, you stood beside me like the love I never knew I deserved. I'll never forget the day when you stayed. When everyone else left, your love remained. In the darkest of moments, your presence was the light I couldn't live without. You stayed when I had nothing to offer except my heart, and you took it willingly. When everyone else walked away, you held my hand and never let go. You stayed when I couldn't even stay for myself, and for that, I'll always thank you. You stayed with me not because it was easy, but because love is a choice. When the world felt cold and lonely, your love was the warmth I needed. You were the one who stayed, the one who never left, and that's why you'll always be my home. If this touched your soul, don't scroll, like, comment your favorite quote, and subscribe for more. You loved me when no one else could see past my broken pieces. Your presence was the miracle I didn't know I needed, and for that, I'll always be grateful. You stayed even when my heart was too shattered to love back. When others left, you stayed, and for that, you'll forever be my constant. In the ruins of abandonment, your love was the only thing that rebuilt me. You didn't just stay, you chose me, even when the world chose to forget me. They abandoned me, but you stayed. And that's the story of my heart. You stayed when I was unlovable, and now I'm forever grateful. When everyone walked away, your love was the only thing that anchored me. You stayed through the storm, and for that, I'm eternally thankful. You stayed when I couldn't stay for myself, and for that, I'll love you forever. When life was at its hardest, you were the one who chose to stay. You never left, even when everyone else thought I was too broken to love. When the world turned its back, you were the one who stayed, and I'll never forget that. You stayed, and that's why I'll never give up on us. When others abandoned me, you stayed, and that's why I'll always call you home. You stayed when I needed you most, and that's the love I'll carry forever. Even when everyone else walked away, you chose to stay, and for that I'm eternally grateful. You stayed when it would have been easy to leave, and for that I will always cherish you. You stayed when it was hardest, and that's the truest form of love I've ever known. You stayed when my heart was broken, And for that, you healed me in ways words can't express. When the world abandoned me, your love never wavered, and I'll carry that forever. You chose me when others couldn't, and in that choice, you became my everything. You stayed when I didn't believe I deserved love, and for that, I'll always cherish you. While others ran, you stood by me, and that's the love I'll never forget. In the face of everyone leaving, your love was the only thing that anchored me. You stayed when I was lost in myself, and you made me whole again. When the world walked away, your love was the only thing that stayed true. You stayed when everyone else thought I was too much to handle, and for that, I love you. While others left me behind, you never once faltered in your loyalty. You stayed when I was broken, and in that you became the peace that made me whole. When the storm raged, you stayed as my calm, and I'll never forget the peace you gave me. You stayed when the rest of the world turned their backs, and that's why you're irreplaceable. In a world of temporary things, your love was my forever. You stayed when I couldn't stay for myself, and that's the greatest love I've known. You saw the darkness in me and still chose to stay. Thank you for believing in my light. When everyone else gave up, your faith in me kept me moving forward. You stayed not because it was easy, but because your love for me was real. While others walked away, you walked beside me, and that's the kind of love I'll forever cherish. You stayed when no one else could handle my heart, and for that you'll always have it, even when I was at my worst. You stayed, and that's the truest love I've ever known. When I felt invisible, your love was the only thing that saw me. You stayed when I didn't know how to stay for myself, and for that, I'll always be grateful. You loved me when the world couldn't, and for that, you'll always have my heart. You stayed when others walked away, and in doing so, you became my foundation. In the chaos of my life, you remained my peace, and for that, I'll never forget you. You stayed when it was hard, and for that, I'll carry your love with me forever. My dear, you were the light I never knew I needed when darkness surrounded me. When everyone turned away, you stayed, and that act saved my soul. You didn't just stay, you became my lifeline, the one I needed most. In a world full of departures, your presence was the only thing that never left. You were the one I never deserved, but was thankful for every single day. When everyone gave up, you never did, and that's why I'll never forget you. You stayed when the world seemed to leave me behind, and for that, I owe you everything. When hearts turned cold, yours remained the warmth I couldn't live without. You saw me at my worst and still chose to stay. you'll always be my hero. In the silence of abandonment, your love was the only sound I needed to hear. You became my anchor when the world was sinking into chaos. Others left, but you stayed, and in that, you became my forever. You were the calm in my storm, the peace when everything around me fell apart. When the world turned its back, you were the one who stood tall. While others ran, you stayed, and that's why I can't let go. Everyone else vanished, but you remained, and that made all the difference. In the desert of loneliness, your love was the oasis I found. You were the only one who understood my silence and never walked away. When abandonment was the theme, you were the exception, the one who stayed. They all left, but you stayed, teaching me what real love truly is. You stayed when the world walked away, and I'll never forget that gift. I found strength in your loyalty, a strength I never knew I had. When the night was darkest, your light was the only thing that never faded. You stayed when no one else would, and now I carry your love like armor. In the cold of abandonment, you warmed my soul with your unwavering support. You stood by me when everyone else couldn't even stand on their own. You didn't just stay, you made me believe in love again. When the world abandoned me, your love was the only thing that stayed true. They walked away, but you never did, and for that my heart will always be yours. When life took away, you gave more, and I will never take that for granted. You were the steady hand that pulled me out of the storm. They turned their backs, but you were the one who faced me with unwavering strength. When everyone else left, your love was the only thing that kept me going. You stayed when the world decided to quit on me, and for that I owe you everything. When the dust settled, you were still there, my constant in a world full of chaos. You were the one who saw me at my worst and chose to stay with me anyway. In a crowd of noise, your love was the only thing that spoke to my soul. While others left, you stayed, and that's the kind of love I'll cherish forever. You were the one who held me together when everything else was falling apart. When others let me go, you held on tighter, and that's why you matter. Everyone left when I needed them most, but you stayed. Thank you for that. You stayed even when the world told you to leave, and that's why I trust you. When love was lost, you were the one who stayed and never gave up on me. In a sea of people, you were the only one who stayed anchored to me. You stayed even when I was lost, and that's the kind of love I'll always believe in. They left, but you remained, and that's why I'm still standing today. When I felt abandoned, your love was the only thing that made me feel whole again. You didn't just stay, you fought for me when everyone else gave up. While others turned their backs, you remained the one who cared the most. You stood by me when the world walked away, and I'll never forget it. You stayed through my darkest days, and I'm forever grateful for your strength. When love left me, your presence stayed and healed my broken heart. In the absence of everyone else, your love was the presence I needed most. You chose to stay when everyone else chose to walk away, and for that I'll always love you. When I had nothing left, you gave me everything: your love, your patience, your loyalty. They walked away, but your love never faltered. That's why you're my everything. When everyone else turned away, you stayed, and that is the greatest gift I've ever received. You stayed in the silence of my heart, and I'll forever be thankful for that. In the darkest chapters of my life, you were the only light that never dimmed. While others fled, your love remained. Steady, strong, and unwavering, you stayed when everyone else chose the easy path and left me behind. When the world deserted me, you held me close, showing me what true loyalty looks like. I've never been more thankful for someone who chose to stay when they didn't have to. You stayed, and your love was the comfort I didn't know I needed. They gave up on me, but you stayed, and in that, you became everything I never knew I needed.